Welcome to Knights at the Game Table. Tonight we are playing Magic the Gathering and we've got Ryan bringing an Esper control deck going up against Morgan with our white monument splashing blue for some cloud blazers. Yep. Who's going to win? Watch the episode and find out.
To keep up to date with everything at Knights at the Game Table, all you have to do is click subscribe and then hit that tiny little notification button next to it, so every time we upload a new video, YouTube will be sure to let you know.
And while you're watching, don't forget that you have an opportunity to win a booster box with us every month. All you have to do to be entered into the latest draw is share this video and comment down below. Let's get into the game. What do we got today, Arye?
We got some good decks and some good players. So we have Ryan on the left playing an Esper control deck, which is blue, white, black, and then Morgan on the right playing a very cool one.
Who's won the rock, paper, scissors? It was the scissor lizards on the right there, Morgan, beating in the paper saga. Okay, right, sorry, carry on.
No, it's okay.
Now everyone's got what they came for. You're going to talk about these decks and this magic.
Hey, I like the scissors lizard as much as anybody. So, so Morgan's going to be playing we're going to go ahead and call it basically a white-blue monument deck. And the monument in question is Oketra's monument. Oketra, one of the lesser-known gods from Amonkhet, one of the ones not named Hazarat. And she is the white one, and she is a giant white cat, and in her monument makes a bunch of white tokens.
Okay. Like 1/1 soldiers?
Correct. So so Oketra's monument has two main abilities. One of them is it makes all your creatures cost white creatures cost one less.
That's nice.
And then it also gives you a 1/1 soldier token for each and every creature you play. Cool.
Okay, then over on the other side we got like a Esper control deck. Is that right? Yes,
this is a very cool deck. It's a little similar to like a blue-white control deck. It has some of the same cards, like you can see Disallow is a card right now in Ryan's hand, but it adds black so it can play cards like the Scarab God, which are just extremely powerful.
Scarab God is very powerful.
Yeah, the Scarab God is, until the recent times when Chain Whirlers have taken over the world, the Scarab God has for a long time been one of the best ways to end games in Standard, and that hasn't changed.
Okay, what does Disallow do? Tell me about that.
Disallow is a 3-mana counterspell that can also, instead of countering a spell that a player would cast from their hand, can also counter an ability.
Okay.
So that comes up less often, but it can happen with something, say, like the ultimate ability of a Planeswalker. Where you may want to counter that ability as opposed to actually countering, a card.
Blue 1?
Yep, yeah, it's a 3-mana counter, so it's come a long way since they started printing cancels.
Yeah.
It's a very strong 3-mana counter spell, and it's something that I'm actually happy with their design, that they've come up with some playable 3-mana counters, because 2-mana countering everything in Standard is a little oppressive.
A little bit good.
And 3-mana countering everything, you need a little bit of an incentive, and Disallow fits that pretty well.
Nice, nice. Okay, so we've already got the monument over on the right.
And that is exactly what Morgan wants to see in his opening hand, is some kind of board presence into the monument. Because the turn after you get the monument, the turn where you can untap and start doing stuff, is usually a very good turn.
Yeah. So he's facing down the potential counterspell on...
Yeah, you see now, so Ryan could have a counterspell here, but his lands are very awkward. He's got 2 Aether Hubs and just a Swamp. If he uses those Aether Hubs for blue mana, he's going to have some colorless lands in play, which his 3-color deck will not be happy about. Yeah.
Does the monument trigger on playing the card or on the creature coming into play?
I believe it triggers on casting the card. So yes, so a 1/1
even though it gets countered,
will come in, despite the fact that Militia Bugler was not able to bugle anything.
Okay.
Okay, and another 1-drop and another 1/1. So still a good turn for him. I mean, you got one of your spells countered. He still added 3 creatures to the board.
Seems perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, Oketra's Monument's a really strong card. It's just unfortunate that there's that goblin running around, but in other matchups where you don't have to deal with that guy, I mean, it really puts a very, very wide and menacing pressure on your opponent. So it looks like Ryan's sitting here with just a bunch of hubs and nothing to do, trying to maybe get a Scarab God in the play somehow.
Yeah, that's more hubs than he really wants, isn't it?
Yeah, the third hub without any ways of
we've got a Sun Cleanser here, is that right?
Yes, we have Sun Cleanser, which basically says that your opponent can't get counters, which means that the energy counters that Ryan's relying on for his mana, the Sun Cleanser would cleanse all of those away. But it looks like, okay, it looks like there is a Vraska's Contempt, which is going to exile Sun Cleanser, therefore allowing Ryan to perhaps get more energy at some point.
Okay.
But Sun Cleanser would have been a sad story for Ryan's mana base at this moment.
Yeah, for sure.
It would have given all those Aether Hubs no energy and no ability or potential to get energy ever. Okay, so it looks like we're taking another chunk out of Ryan's life total here with some white beatdown creatures.
12 already, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what comes next here for Morgan. Aviary Mechanic. What a cool one.
Aviary Mechanic.
Yes.
Yeah, what's he do?
What he does is he returns he may return something to your hand which you can replay, which normally you don't see this card in Constructed because you're going, why am I returning stuff? Well, with Oketra's Monument, it's not too bad to return a creature and then for 1 mana make another token.
Ones, yeah.
Yep, we also now have City's Blessing, which means that since we have at least 10 permanents, which I think we have over 10 permanents, that means that we are going to have a flying creature in the... Okay, that also means we're going to have a scooping of, of magical cards by Ryan.
What is that City's Blessing exactly? What did it do?
Oh, okay, so City's Blessing is an ability that... it is a condition that a player can get by having 10 or more permanents in play.
Okay.
In that case, Morgan had a Sky Marcher Aspirant, which was a 2/1 that has Ascend, which lets him have City's Blessing, which gives that creature flying. There's some other cards that do it too, but it can be a little bit challenging.
When the blessing's in play, what effect does it have on them?
In that case, it just gives that creature flying. It depends on what the specific card in your deck that has Ascend does.
Gotcha.
But largely, it can be a little confusing for people if you haven't played with it, because once your opponent gets it, they have it for the rest of the game. So even if they go down under 10 permanents at some point, they will still have City's Blessing. Okay. So it works a little differently than some other mechanics, like Metalcraft, for example. Okay, so it looks like we're shuffling up here for game 2. Ryan, kind of glancing at the sideboard, seeing what he has to bring in against a creature deck. I think probably Knight of Malice may not be bad, given that, you know, he's kind of block some creatures, and that card has First Strike, pretty good at blocking creatures.
Does that have Pro White or anything like that?
It is not protection from white, it has Hexproof from white.
Okay.
So you can't target it with a white spell, but it can block or attack. You know,
so less frustrating version of protection.
Yeah, I would call it almost like a fixed protection that they've come up with, and I think it actually is a lot better, a lot more easy to play with.
Do they still print cards with protection from color?
Not really.
Not so much.
No.
Is Hexproof from color the new thing?
Yeah, these are actually the first card that ever appeared with that, which would be Knight of Malice and Knight of Grace, are the first 2 cards that ever had it, both from Dominaria. Until that point, they would only have protection. But I think the last protection card was Master of Waves way back in Theros. I don't think we've seen a protection card since. So I think that's one they're trying to phase out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much steamrolled from the white beatdown deck. So what's the control deck going to want to show us this game that's going to stop that kind of thing happening?
Well, I think Ryan, I mean, to put it mildly, needs to draw a removal spell that doesn't cost 4 mana. He needs to draw his inexpensive removal.
That'd be a start.
And that will get him onto a much stronger path in terms of, you know, navigating his way to the late game, whereas really where his deck wants to be. Hopefully we're going to see some lands not named Aether Hub.
Yeah, a mixture would be nice. Maybe one.
Yeah, how about, well, we can throw 1 hub into the mix, but if I'm Ryan, I would like to see a basic swamp somewhere happening, because that's going to enable us to cast Fatal Push and Cast Down, which really are going to be the removal spells that are going to help us bridge over to the late game.
It's looking like we're going to see both of those, actually.
Yeah. I think in Ryan's hand here, he's got access to all of that removal, and that's really when you're talking about these kind of control decks. He's looking to win the late game with Scarab God. How do you get those cards in the graveyard and survive? Fatal Push will do the job.
Yeah.
So it looks like Morgan is taking a mulligan. Which, you know, sometimes these kind of low land count decks, small creature decks, don't play a lot of land. It does happen occasionally where you do have to mulligan just because you have a lot of 1-land hands. At the same time, you have a lot of interchangeable pieces, so the mulligan doesn't hit like an aggressive creature deck as hard as it does a slower deck.
Oh my goodness, 5 over here.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. There's 2 ways of looking at it, right? You can look at the mulligan as a disadvantage, or you can look at the mulligan as a chance for a great story. Because I won it once on a mulligan to 3 in Standard, and I will never forget it.
That's impressive. I've won the 4. I don't think I've ever won the 3.
I think I've since then learned that I'm pretty sure that you pretty much keep any 4 cards is probably just what you should do. But in that particular case, I mulliganed to 3 and was able to win somehow. It was a very good mulligan to 3.
Nice.
It was land, think twice counter, and a counter spell. I think mana leak. So it was a good mulligan of 3.
Okay, what have we got?
All right. Well, hopefully we're not going to see a mulligan.
Let's have the perfect 5.
Let's keep it
perfect
at 5.
5. Yeah, surely.
All right. So we're looking at his 5, and I see 5 cards. I don't see a lot of land in that 5. Okay, there's some land in there. Oh,
yeah, we got 2 lands.
Okay, so 2 lands out of 5.
This looks pretty good.
That's gonna have to. That's gonna do the trick here. So, all right, Ryan's starting out with an ominous swamp that indicates fatal push. If I'm his opponent, I'm like, okay, what are you pushing? Okay. Like, oh, yes, all right, there you go.
That right off the board.
And that hopefully will give Ryan a little more breathing room for his deck to operate than we had seen in the previous game.
It's tough making these 1-for-1 trades when you're down on cards as well. So.
Yeah.
Oh, did he only have the 1 land?
Yeah, it looks like that was only 1 land. It looks like our reporters on the floor just phoning it in. No, it is only a 1-lander for Morgan.
Oh, yikes.
So in that case, we're going to see, I think, a very swift game of I have lands and you don't. Okay, wait,
we're up to 2.
All right.
There's an island? Did we even see the islands last game?
I think he had 1 island, yeah. I'm not really sure even that the islands are 100% necessary. I think the only blue card in this deck is going to be Cloud Blazer. But Cloud Blazer is a pretty powerful card.
So what does the Cloud Blazer do?
It is a 5-mana 2/2 that draws 2 cards and gains 2 life.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a cool card. It usually doesn't break into Constructed because it does cost a ton of mana, but Oketra's Monument very handily reduces its cost, which is a nice thing for
Makes it worthwhile.
this deck.
So again, we got another 1-for-1 trade, which is really harsh on the deck. It's taking a mulligan.
Yeah, it's really going to be tough when you're talking about okay, I'm going to fatal push this, I'm going to Essence Scatter that. That kind of a game is tough to play when you're down cards.
Yeah, he needs a monument.
Yeah, a monument
well, there's a land.
Definitely the best card, although...
Is it going to run into
Interesting, okay. So rather than go with the monument, Morgan is going to lead with the Militia Bugler, which I think is actually kind of a clever play because, that is going to a little bit punish Ryan for playing a removal spell because Bugler is going to have a trigger. Let Morgan look at some cards and put a creature in his hand, which is going to be a really, really nice way to mitigate that removal, that 1-for-1ing like you were talking about.
That's nice.
Yeah, so this way we were able to pick up a card, and even if the Bugler decides to, for example, get cast down.
We're destroying lands here.
Yes, we are, yes. We're going with the very time-honored strategy in Magic for destroying lands. Unfortunately, in this particular one, Field of Ruin, both players just get a different land. So it doesn't have a huge cost or a huge swing, tempo swing the way
it takes out non-basics with abilities. And
yeah,
such,
it does. I mean, and it actually does a lot of good work in Modern too, where there's a little bit more of utility lands running around the treetop villages of the world.
Is Treetop Village in Modern?
Oh yeah.
Or was it in Time Spiral or something? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. Treetop Village is very in Modern. It's all I believe it's also an ape of some kind. Is Treetop Village a monkey? I think it is.
It didn't have a creature type when I played it, but it does now. Everything got errated at some point when they had their big tribal push.
Yeah, so you're gonna need to get that one in the comments section. Exactly the creature type of Treetop Village, but I think it's some kind of an ape. But yeah, it's definitely a 3/3 that can attack you in Modern. It doesn't do so very often, just because of the nature of the speed of that format. But yeah, occasionally it does, and it does still have Trample, which makes Lingering Souls very unhappy.
Decent for sure.
So this is a little interesting. So do we...
Another Bugler?
Do we commit this thing? Do we not commit this thing? And I guess what we're going to do here is choose, I guess, not to commit it. Which, that's probably a good idea. Okay, Bugler into Bugler. I like this card.
Chaining up.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just going to bugle through our whole deck. Bugler, actually, believe it or not, seeing some play in Modern currently.
What's its stats?
It is a 3-mana 2/3 that looks at, I believe, the top 4 cards of your deck. And can find a creature that has 2 or less power and put it in your hands.
3-mana 2/3 seems
3-mana 2/3.
Not that big. Is it getting combo pieces or?
It is not. It is in a humans aggressive deck, a humans tribal deck, and it's just getting other humans. Yep.
I'm impressed. Cool. I'm impressed that's seeing Modern play.
Yeah, you'd think it's a little below the curve, but that humans deck has a lot of aggressive draws and not a lot of resiliency, and it turns out replacing yourself is a good ability.
That's fair enough. Drawing a card is always good.
Yep. That is a Very true fact of Magic. Drawing
Has
cards
never been bad.
Drawing cards is good. Doesn't matter if it's Mentor the Meek or Brainstorm or what. Is drawing cards.
It's just good. I mean, this is impulsing for a creature, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So you get like 4 cards and pick one. So
yeah.
are there pieces in that human deck that you get specific humans that boost up stuff?
I think largely you're going to get Meddling Mage a lot of the time to sort of shut down your opponent's deck, and so like Meddling Mage can do. Is I think probably the #1 card you look for, honestly, or maybe Reflector Mage, the other mage, as a means of sort of interacting with your opponent's board.
Okay, so we've got some stuff going on Morgan's side here, and trying for the monument.
Okay, here comes the monument, and we know that that's from seeing game 1 that's important to Morgan's strategy.
Yeah,
but there comes the negate.
Interesting, he's waited until Ryan's got 6 mana. So is that Hulk an instant? That Hulk thing?
Oh, Gearhulk is certainly an instant, yeah.
Yeah, so
it is flash, yeah.
He's sort of timed that so that he's having to cast a counterspell and can't bring out the Gearhulk yet, which is quite nicely played from Morgan.
Yeah, that is a really good play from Morgan there because, he wasn't able to Gearhulk anything, which is really nice. That being said, we happen to know there is a Gearhulk just hanging out, just ready.
Waiting to
ready and waiting. Like, what do you do?
Cogs turning.
If you're Morgan, do you just not attack with your Bugler, or are you just like... You're just like, nah, I don't want to get Gearhulk today, or are you just like, well, I'm on a mulligan, I got to go for it, just jam that Bugler.
I mean, it depends if he's got a path to victory that involves not attacking this turn, I guess, right?
I don't know.
It's another 3 mana. He's got another monument.
These situations are just always really challenging, whether or not you should play around a card your opponent's presenting, but you may decide that even if they have it, I can't play around it.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the decision. Okay, well, we're going for combat.
Okay, so Sky Marcher and Bugler into the red zone. But as we know, they have a Gearhulk waiting for them.
Right,
as you can see Ryan lining up his lands.
There it is. So, apart from flashing in and being big, what does it do?
It casts an instant in your graveyard for free. But she doesn't like free stuff.
Nice. So, it's basically just a much larger Snapcaster Mage.
Yes.
With the cost built in.
Absolutely.
That's a powerful card. Okay, do we have the...
Okay, that is a good follow-up.
That's good. Yeah. That's good.
Mentor of the Meek is one of the best follow-ups you could have.
Start.
So it's going to help us at least try to rebuild a little bit after all of this stuff happening. Mentor of the Meek, by the way, just in general, just a great card against any control deck.
Yeah, it's really nice having a little card draw engine on the table.
It looks like, oddly enough, after a mulligan to 5, that Morgan is somehow flooding.
Not looking...
Ugh, how is he flooding out now? That's rough. It's rough when you have a 2-lander on 5 and then you just draw a series of lands, which is kind of what we see here.
What happened there? Do we have a Fatal Push on the...
yes, it looked like Fatal Push took out Sky Marcher Aspirant. So
okay, could it not take out the Mentor? Was the Mentor too pricey?
Yes. The Mentor has a mana cost of 3, which means that Ryan would need a permanent on his side of the battlefield to somehow leave the battlefield, which you can't really do.
Yeah, a bit tricky.
Yeah, in Modern it's real easy because you fetch a land and you have Revolt.
Yeah.
But
if he still had that Wastelandy type card, he could have done it. What's that card called?
Field of Ruin.
Field of Ruin.
You are correct.
He needs Field of Ruin.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Oh no.
Okay, I don't know what that does, but it does look like a 7-mana Planeswalker, so I'm pretty sure it's good.
Well, Teferi is really almost like a 3-mana Planeswalker because it's a 5-mana Planeswalker that has one of its abilities as draw a card and untap 2 lands. Nice. So it almost costs 3 in a certain respect. And it is just a monster. Anytime you're staring at Teferi from across the table, it's never a good feeling.
Yeah, Morgan doesn't have a lot of pressure to...
no, this Mentor of the Meek better be really good. It better draw at least 2 cards this turn, I think.
Cards in hand? 2 for 1.
Okay, more lands.
He's got plenty of lands. So if he can just start chaining out creatures, he could be getting into a position to do something here.
Yeah, I think this is a kind of a pivotal turn because you have Ryan tapped low.
It's a lot of lands.
Okay, what do we got?
Oh, is it the?
Oh, Angel of Invention. That's really nice. So Angel of Invention can makes 2 servos.
Yep.
It also has what we would call it. Those old school players would call the Crusade effect. It makes all your creatures get +1/+1. So it is a 2/1 flyer that effectively makes 2 2/2s, and it also makes Mentor into a 3/3.
Nice. And he's drawn 2 cards off the little servos there.
Yeah, he did. And so that was that's got to be one of the best
Mentor
ways
Teferi.
to come back from this.
Okay, so this feels like it's still going on here.
Yeah, this is kind of exciting, you know, to see a mulligan, and then a player, you know, be a little bit behind and have all his cards. Pretty much Morgan's cards were all removed.
Back.
But yeah, it's great to see how Mentor of the Meek and Angel of Invention, some really powerful rares and mythics, are able to, hey, bring you right back in the game.
What's happened there?
So it looks like Ryan drew Glimmer of Genius, which is an interesting card because his other card in hand is Syncopate, and Syncopate is a good counterspell, but it's not so good when your opponent's flooding out. So it can be a little tricky here because on the one hand you want to maybe main phase your Glimmer. On the other hand, you don't want to tap too low and not be able to Syncopate something. So it's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like he is opting for the main phase Glimmer, which, again, with Teferi's ability, Teferi will be able to untap 2 lands, so it's almost like that card costs 2.
Yeah, it's nice. So aside from giving untapping lands to get some extra mana, what else does this Teferi do?
It can, for its minus ability, for minus 3, it can put a card into your opponent's deck. Is it third from the top? Third from the top. And then if it's ultimate...
Oh, what's happened there?
It looks like that was a Vraska's Contempt on Angel of Invention. Okay. So Angel of Invention is exiled, so the Crusade, the +1/+1 effect no longer in play. Okay. But the servos do get to hang out. Servos stick around.
So you decided to prioritize that over the Mentor?
Yeah, he did. That's interesting, right? Because he could have kind of gone either way there.
Yeah, the Mentor felt almost like the bigger threat there. I guess the Angel was going to kill Teferi?
The Angel, I think, only has 2 power. Because it doesn't... I don't believe it gives +1/+1 to itself. I think it has other creatures, so... I think Teferi could have survived one hit.
I mean, the +1 on the servos as well, though, means he could have just rushed past, right?
Yes, you're right. Well, but he would have to trade Mentor for that. Oh, no, you're right, because you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
you'd attack with the Angel and 2 servos, yeah. So that makes sense. So Ryan just trying to keep Teferi around, which, when you have Teferi on board, is pretty good.
That Mentor feels very dangerous as well, though.
Yeah, Mentor of the Meek, in these sort of drawn-out games against decks that really don't clock you, it can very much take over. But getting back to what you were saying before, you're asking about Teferi. His last ability is you get an emblem that every time you draw a card, you can exile one of your opponent's permanents.
Wow!
So it's much like Jace the Mind Sculptor's emblem. It's not a card, or a Jace the Mind Sculptor's like ultimate. I guess it's not technically an emblem, but
it's one of the ultimates you tend not to come back from.
You're never coming back from that. You're never coming back from the ultimate ability of Teferi. Okay, Monument's great. And do we have the cheap creature to follow up?
Well, we don't have the Syncopate, so let's see what Morgan's got here.
Yeah, so we know he's got the Syncopate, but he can only Syncopate for 1. Yeah, so Morgan will be able to pay for that Syncopate no matter what he casts. Oh, Cloud Blazer, another wonderful card
we were talking about
against a control deck. Because Cloud Blazer draws 2 cards from its own ability, but also draws a card from Mentor as well. So you can see why this deck splashes blue pretty much just for this card.
Yeah, look at that.
Alright, let's draw 3. We like Ancestral, right?
You mentioned how much we like drawing cards. Drawing 3 cards is even better.
Why Ancestral Recall, draw 3 cards. I mean, nice. Not exactly the same with Oketra's Monument, Cloud Blazer, but come on. Give it a break at standard, okay? I'll take it. So, yeah, so we're going to sacrifice a servo just to kind of peck away at Teferi a little bit. Yeah. Because there's no worry Mentor's getting into the red zone here, right?
No, it's far too valuable to put out there. Oh, and we had, was that a Fatal Push?
Yes, it was a Fatal Push, but, servo token, not really what you want to be targeting with Fatal Push.
No, it's not really.
Yeah, that's not the target of choice. It's the target of necessity. Okay. Oh wow, though. Do you see that?
There's a power card.
There's something though.
There's something you needed.
No. Okay, so we get to draw a card with Teferi, but I'm pretty sure any hand and any turn that we see here from Ryan is going to involve the Scarab God leaving his hand and entering the battlefield. Wow, yeah. So Morgan, with 4 cards in hand, after all of that mulliganing and all of that really flooding out with a bunch of planes, hey, you know what? Mentor, Cloud Blazer, refill.
It's as good as it gets in that situation.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's great that we get to see such a competitive game after such a tough mulligan.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be a wash, but really it's going on.
Yeah. Well, this white deck has a lot of ways to grind through long, grindy games. It's got Cloudblazer and Mentor, as we've seen in this game. And it also has a sideboard card, Dusk to Dawn, which basically it just lets you
no Scarab God
stuff. Really? That's an interesting choice there.
What is going on?
I wonder exactly how Ryan wants to play this.
He's got a lot of mana open.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be interesting to see how he chooses to take these turns. I don't know. I'm a fan of playing the Scarab God as much as possible, so I would probably just jam that guy into play and roll from there. But, there's also the other side of the coin here, which is maybe leaving open Syncopate for something kind of scary.
I mean, everything's pretty scary when it's all around extra cards.
That's true.
We've got a response here. We've got...
Oh, I see. Okay.
Monument.
So we're going to commit the monument in response to the Bugler's ability, which means the monument's going to end up on the bottom of the deck. So that's kind of a cool interaction.
Ooh, that's very clever.
Yeah.
Now, he is still going to get a 1/1 from the monument, right?
Yes.
Because it triggers on the cast.
Correct.
So...
That's correct. Ooh, that's cool.
Oh!
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So he's able to cycle a land, which would allow him to draw a card. That's pretty cool. Draw a card from the Mentor, draw a card from the cycle, and then so he ends up with the monument back in his hand anyway, which is awesome.
Nice.
That is a very good play by Morgan.
Whew. So you've still got the 1/1 token to come in?
I think it's that soldier that showed up. Yeah, we had a servos before. Now we've upgraded from servos to soldiers.
Servos to soldiers sounds like
arrest. Oh, that's a good one.
What's that do?
It pretty much just exiles a creature. But it's not a widely played card in Standard because there's other maybe slightly stronger effects like this, like Cast Out. But in this particular case, in of a low land aggro deck, you want to play the cheaper card even if it's less flexible.
That's fair. Okay, so now
is it time? Is it time for the Scarab God to do his thing? Okay,
so
we got two of them.
Is Teferi drawing cards here?
Yes, every turn that Teferi's been in play, I believe Ryan's uses plus ability, which is a draw card, and in your end step, untap 2 lands.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, so here comes the Scarab God, and then Teferi is going to untap 2 lands, which is going to be great, because now Ryan's going to have access to Scarab God's ability. And if it's me, and I'm in Ryan's shoes, I am looking very hard at targeting that Cloudblazer.
Oh my goodness, he's going to get the comes into play ability, isn't he?
Yes,
with
he is.
2 cards and 2 life. That's going to be very sweet.
That would be my target, I think. That would be a pretty nice one. And by the way, it's a 4/4 when Scarab God does it too, so that's pretty good.
God gets upgraded.
Yes, so we have determined, yes, the Scarab God will make a 4/4 Cloudblazer that would come into play, gain 2 life, and draw 2 cards.
And it'll have flying?
Yes, it will also fly.
As if everything else wasn't enough.
Yeah, sometimes they like to print cards with a lot of text on them, and as you can see from our board currently, generally the cards that you have to read several paragraphs are the ones that get played a lot in Constructed. So,
that's fair. Okay, what do we got here?
Okay, so the monument's back, the soldiers are back, the mentor is still doing his thing.
Okay, so we're really looking to swarm out a whole bunch of 1/1s, draw a bunch of cards here, aren't we?
Yeah.
We really need to develop this board position, or that Scarab God's going to take over really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key number on Scarab God is 8 mana, because that means you're just making 2 things a turn.
Yeah, and he does have 8 mana.
Yeah, he does have enough to do that. So Morgan's got to really think through this a little bit. He's got to figure out, okay, I've got an opponent who's at 18. I've got Mentor of the Meek, which is great. I've got Monument, which is great. But how the heck am I going to get through all of these blockers that Scarab God is going to make? Exile. All right, here we go. If a Cloudblazer is good enough for you, a Cloudblazer is good enough for me.
There we go.
Oh man, that's a tough go of things when your opponent's casting your cards and then they're bigger than the time you played them.
For less mana as well.
For less mana, yeah. He need the, well, hey,
no, he only paid 4.
Morgan got the discount. He got the discount on Oketra's Monument. So, but I don't think this is a particular trade that's going to be favoring Morgan, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is going to start swinging towards the control deck now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there was a brief window in there, I think, before Torrential Gearhook and the Scarab God decided to show up to the party, where it looked like Morgan could maybe get slightly ahead, but once the Scarab God's activating a bunch of times, once, you know, we've got an active Planeswalker every turn, it's going to be hard for just a white creature deck of 1/1s and 2/2s to get past that.
Yeah. Is there anything that... what do we need to see from Morgan here? What can he do?
Well, I mean, I think Cloud Blazer would be a good way to start. The problem is when it dies, it's going to, you know, show up on Ryan's side of the board.
So hard.
But I think Cloud Blazer would be one.
I was hoping to see a bit more from him on the last turn. Like, he really needs like so many 1-mana creatures. I feel like would be just a string of small creatures triggering more small creatures, and tokens and card draw would be great.
Absolutely, or you know, even just the mechanic. The mechanic just kind of bouncing itself again and again.
Oh, mechanic would be great.
That would have been fine.
Does he have any direct answer to the Scarab God?
Now that Thopter Arrest is gone, I'm not sure. I don't think he's got very many ways to really get rid of the Scarab God.
Can he draw another Thopter Arrest?
Ooh, negate. Okay,
ooh,
that's a
cheeky.
Cool one. Yeah, I like that.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming either. That's a great sideboard card for a mono white deck that just splashes blue. It's a great sideboard card. Be able to bring in negate on occasion. Unfortunately, I think he may have preferred to counter, for example, Teferi.
Yeah.
Countering Teferi would have been a little bit stronger than countering this late game Glimmer of Genius. But hey, you know, you got a negate, you may as well use it. Okay. So both players sort of in a little bit of a stalemate, but you know, the longer things go on, the better it looks for Ryan.
Yeah, so we need a really explosive turn from Morgan here.
Do we have Aviary Mechanic to like... Oh, we have something else though that's pretty helpful. Scavenger Grounds. That's going to be great.
Tell me about Scavenger Grounds.
Scavenger Grounds is a desert that when you sacrifice it, exiles all graveyards, which is in this deck to exile your opponent's graveyard at critical times. But also in this case, it actually will exile Morgan's own graveyard, which
stopping any more Scarab God shenanigans.
Yes, it will require Ryan to at least play some more removal spells to deal with the current board in order to do anything. Ah, yes. Ooh. Oh, wow.
Oh.
Okay. So we saw Morgan activate Scavenger Grounds by sacrificing a land.
Yep.
And then
sacrifice a desert?
A desert, correct. So we saw that happen, followed by a disallow of that ability, countering the ability, at which point Morgan followed back with a negate to negate the disallow. So it was Scavenger Grounds activation, disallow, negate, Morgan wins that side of the battle, and now the graveyards are completely clear, so the Scarab God is just sort of a
temporarily offline.
5/5 with no abilities, really. Except for like scrying every turn and such, which is gonna be
2-point drain every turn. As well.
Yeah, even its less good abilities, such as scrying and taking life away from your opponent every upkeep, are still gonna be challenging for Morgan to get past.
So he's just played another card that's just out of shot there. What is that?
I believe that's another mentor.
That's another mentor. Okay.
Yes. So now we're just drawing our whole deck.
Now. Yeah.
The question is that good enough against the Scarab God? I don't know.
Well, the Scarab God's not doing anything right now. Well, it's doing less than it normally does right now.
Yeah, that's true. The Scarab God is not at his best here, but at the same time, like, anything that's going to ever hit the graveyard is just going to be immediate fodder for that guy.
Yeah.
So that means Ryan top decking any removal spell, or just like maybe even starting to get into combat a little bit, it's going to be awkward, you know, because right now Morgan he's got quite a few creatures, but he doesn't have any good attacks, even though he's got 7 guys.
No, it's hard to get through right now.
Plus, remember we talked a little bit about that Teferi ultimate a few minutes ago?
Yeah, we started to get close. No, how many?
I believe it's 9.
It's 9. Okay, we're at 7.
We're getting to that point almost. You know, where Ryan will have to choose whether ultimating Teferi is better than just drawing an extra card. But other than that, it's like a lot of wait and see. Yeah, Ryan
back to Morgan. Morgan could draw a lot of cards this turn.
Yes, he can. With double mentor, especially if he finds Aviary Mechanic, it basically is 3 mana draw 2.
Yeah.
As many times as you want. Assuming it doesn't get countered.
Any creature's looking pretty good right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, we'll start with just a 2/1.
That's absolutely fine. That
Yep.
sounds really...
And I assume we're going to see him pay 2 mana.
Pay 2 mana,
and
draw 2 cards.
And we also have a monument trigger as well at some point too.
Which is...
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And we're going to draw 2 more cards here.
Yeah. Yes, that's...
Nice.
That is how this interaction works. Yeah,
that's...
keep drawing and drawing and drawing. Mentor of the Meek is really a very powerful card.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that they decided to reprint that card in Standard. It's just a fun card to play with, and
it's at a nice power level. I think
yeah.
It's not. It doesn't just devastate, but it has a real impact when it's.
Yeah,
going on over a longer
the fact that itself is just a 3-mana 2/2, relatively unimpressive card and constructed, and that the ability does cost mana, so it's not like 0 to draw.
Yeah.
That it makes the card pretty balanced, but still quite powerful. Okay, another Bugler.
Another Bugler.
So that guy could even be like a draw 3 if you want him to be.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, there's the mechanic. So Aviary Mechanic in this situation basically is like draw my whole deck. You can even like pick up a Bugler to replay too, which is just silly.
Wow.
The question is though, how do we get past some very large blockers and a Scarab God?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think that some amount of tokens are gonna have to start attacking each turn.
Yeah.
Sending in the actual creatures is like quite scary with the Scarab God just right there ready to reanimate them essentially. So I think we have to wait until we're in a situation
where we can
win the game in 2 turns, where we can do like 1 attack with tokens only and a second attack with everything.
Ideally, although I see Teferi is going to be putting on pressure really soon. He doesn't have that many turns.
It's true, but Teferi can only exile like 1 permanent a turn usually. Even if you draw cards,
true.
It's not that bad. It is going to be challenging.
We were talking about how devastating he was, but it might actually, in the situation where you got 30 things on the board, it may be the rare circumstance where it's not necessarily the end of all things.
Yeah, I think Teferi's emblem, while very good and game-winning in most situations, when your opponent's got like 15 soldier tokens, it becomes a little bit less good.
Yeah.
So at that point, I think Ryan may choose to not actually use that mode and may just keep drawing cards with the Fairy, even if he gets to 9.
Okay, we're up to 8.
Yeah, we're getting there, and it looks like we've got some of the removal spells that we wanted. Especially, definitely Cast Down is fantastic, because it'll put the creature into the graveyard to immediately be returned by the Scarab God.
Yeah.
Vraska's Contempt is slightly less good because it exiles the creature, which in turn means that the creature is not going to be available
for the Scarab God. Yeah.
I think a mentor.
Let's get those mentors out of the way.
These mentors they've already kind of done their work, but you know, I mean, out of all the creatures over here on Morgan's side of the board, I would still choose mentor.
Yeah, for sure.
If I have to kill somebody, something.
Like, there's no reason to let your opponent draw even more cards.
No. I mean, no, they're definitely not. It's, 1 mentor was very good. 2 mentors was borderline like unreasonably good.
Yeah.
So let's just go back to just being merely decent with 1 mentor. Interesting. Okay, so we actually have a mentor coming down now for Ryan from the Scarab God's ability, which is kind of interesting.
Not likely to trigger it, I don't think, is he?
No. Although I do see kind of a cool interaction that may or may not come up, which is that if Aviary Mechanic would somehow be able to be taken back from the Scarab God, it could actually return the Torrential Gearhulk, which could actually be a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to get my head around that. Yes, that could happen.
Yeah, because he will get another trigger off of the Gearhulk, since he'll be able to cast down again or something. Nice. So that might actually be a cool one that we might want to look for.
Untapping lands for Teferi, and we're back to Morgan.
And here we are, just a pile of soldiers and just 1 mentor now. Let's see what Morgan can do. Hopefully he's got some more copies of Aviary Mechanic, because I like that card a lot, just bouncing and replaying itself again and again.
Yeah,
and just making a lot of tokens.
It's the kind of thing he wants in this situation. He's got a handful of cards.
Yeah, he's got a lot of cards. I did see some that maybe are less relevant, like Sun Cleanser, though. Although the Sun Cleanser could take all of Ryan's energy away, there's not like really any cards in this deck that care too much about that.
Sadly, it's only it's not taking out token creatures. It's just taking out.
Yeah, just energy. Karn. Yes, I love this card. Have you had a chance to cast this card yet?
I have not.
You have not? Oh my god.
I have not played any recent
you
Magic
have
cards.
not.
Tell me all about Karn. What's he up to?
You have not lived until you cast this card. Karn Siren of Urza is just a fantastic planeswalker. It's a 4-mana colorless planeswalker, which means any deck can play it.
Yep.
Its plus ability is look at your top 2 cards, or reveal your top 2 cards. Your opponent chooses one or the other to put into your hand. So you're thinking, man, that's not that great. My opponent gives me the weaker card. But its next ability is you can put any card with a silver counter on it, which they gain when you do this. You put any silver counter card in your hand.
Oh, so the one you don't get, you can then take.
You can take it. But what's cool is that it doesn't say any cards exiled with this Karn. It says any silver counter cards, so you can play one Karn early in the game, exile a card, and return it from a totally different Karn later, which is a really cool thing.
Nice.
And then its other ability just makes an artifact that's going to be the size of all the artifacts you control. It's an XX equal to the number of artifacts you control.
Oh, what's this?
Ooh. Interesting. So it looks like we have a Vraska's Contempt on Aviary Mechanic.
Yeah.
That was in response to another Aviary Mechanic. But I think we can still just return itself with the Aviary Mechanic, right? Oh, it's another.
Oh, they can only return other. Okay.
I'm so saddened by that. I thought we were going to get to go infinite, but now we can't.
You still are returning the Knight of Grace, okay.
Well,
so why would we choose the Knight of Grace over the Bugler?
I think because he can replay it immediately and draw a card from Mentor. Or, okay. So it looked like he had Ixalan's Binding there, which is going to be a way to exile the Scarab God finally. Ooh. But unfortunately, it was countered by Negate. Man, I was so excited for these mechanics, but yeah, it didn't happen. But Karn is just a fantastic planeswalker, and it even gets played in Vintage now in workshops. It gets played in Legacy in some decks. And it is a card I think that's going to end up being good in Modern at some point. Although right now it's not seeing a ton of play. But yeah, there are definitely Vintage decks that go like Volcanic, Black Lotus, Karn Siren of Earth.
I mean, I guess even the worst of the top 2 cards on your deck has got to be pretty good in Vintage, right?
Yeah, well, Karn, the fact that in the older formats where you can play a lot of 0-mana artifacts, Karn's ability is just like actually making an 8/8, a 9/9, a 10/10. Whereas in Standard, it's usually making like a 2/2 or a 3/3.
Yeah, so the ultimate not so exciting here.
So we'll see what happens. It looks like Morgan might finally be at that level of tokens where it's like, I don't mind if I lose a few. Oh, interesting. So
he's obviously concerned about the ultimate.
Yeah, he's a little worried about this Teferi getting out of hand, so he's just going to send in some tokens to try to make Teferi a little bit less scary for him. And that face down card is a token from Karn. It's a construct token.
Okay.
Okay, so
a lot of lands over there.
Both players, right? Yeah, but this is how these games sometimes go. When you play against sort of a very controlling deck that doesn't have access to, say, like a Wrath, like a destroy all creatures effect. A lot of the games kind of get this way, where they get bogged down into board stalls, and both players are sort of just trying to navigate what's the most best way to get around what the other player has.
Okay, so
Cloud Blazer is finally turning sideways, attacking Karn, and Morgan has an option to either chump block or not. He chooses not to, which I think is probably fine.
Yeah, what could he have blocked with there?
He could have blocked with the Sky March Aspirin, which is the 2/1 that since we have the city's blessing as notated on the top of the screen there, means that that 2/1 has flying.
There's currently no creatures in any graveyards, right? So
I believe that is correct.
yeah, he was avoiding anything happening with
yeah, I feel like if he chumps there and the aspirant goes to the graveyard, it's returned by Scarab God, that's going to be pretty challenging. Oh, we also just have more cards.
Fair enough. Oh, no, we've been... We've been denied somehow.
These are some of my... I will say, these are some of my favorite Planeswalkers to play with that I've ever had in Standard. Teferi and Karn. Just both powerful, not ridiculous like Jace the Mind Sculptor, but like powerful, interesting, lead to interesting games, great decision-making abilities, you know, like just really cool cards that I like having access to.
Feels like it found a good power level for Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
I remember like the first 5 were all pretty much a wash. No one really played any of them, did they?
You had Nissa Ravane in that bunch, which is one of the worst ones ever. Jace, the little, we call like, I guess now we call it like the baby Jace or the mini Jace or the small Jace.
He was kind
Jace
of against
Bellerin.
some decks, right?
Jace Bellerin was okay, but yes, you're absolutely right that in the early days of Planeswalkers, they hadn't quite balanced it, and then they went too far
the other way, and they made the other Jace, who was
where you had like Jace the Mind Sculptor and like these like and Liliana of the Veil too, really like
Liliana of the Veil,
these Planeswalkers that are probably too good. But now I think they've done a nice job of finding Planeswalkers like Karn Cyanoversa, like Chandra, Torch of Defiance, like Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, that are all strong enough to get played in Modern. So they're obviously very good, but are not at that like absurd, formats, you know, ridiculous standard warping level.
Okay, so back to the game. What have we got going on here?
We got a Sun Cleanser. So get out of here, energy.
Oh, we're back up to 2 Mentors of the Meek again.
Oh, yes. So more Mentors, more Sun Cleansers, less energy, more cards. That's what I. That's what I have on my scorecard.
Okay.
So the question is, Ryan is like, man, like I am so far ahead here, kind of on like, in terms of having a Planeswalker, having a Scarab God, having your flyer on my side of the battlefield. But I still, like, am I supposed to attack?
How do we
I don't
sew
know.
this
like,
up? Are we draining with that Scarab God? When is that happening?
Yeah.
When does that trigger? Is that the...
I think that's like an upkeep thing, right?
Upkeep thing, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did that happen this turn? Did the Scarab God trigger his...
Have you been draining from your zombies? You've been forgetting it?
Oh, okay. Oh, so we overlooked the life drain there.
Well, there's a lot going on. Well, he doesn't gain, he just loses.
Oh, what's going on here? So we've cast out...
Yes, we've cast down Aviary Mechanic, so we may get to see, actually, that same play we were talking about before, in which the Scarab God targets Aviary Mechanic returns a Gear Hulk, and that way we're going to get another use out of a Torrential Gear Hulk, which I think is actually really a clever play.
Has he done that?
Yes, he has, yeah.
Yep.
That's why its Aviary Mechanic is halfway out of a sleeve on the left.
Oh, was there a second Gear Hulk?
Yeah. Yes, there was.
Oh, there we
yes.
go.
And it's currently residing in right in Ryan's hand.
And come out. It's a shy Gear Hulk. It's got a touch of anxiety about social encounters. It's like,
I mean, it came out. It looked around.
There's a lot of soldiers over there. Yep. I'm just gonna
head right back into the hand and perhaps be able to cast something else. But yeah, this is a strange situation for the control deck. Insog's Binding again. Interesting. Awesome. Ixalan's Binding can exile. So it exiles a permanent, but then it also has a second clause that says that you cannot cast, or your opponent cannot cast cards with that same name.
Ooh.
So not only does that exile the Scarab God, but it also means that there are no future Scarab Gods as long as Ixalan's Binding is in play.
Okay. And what have we got in terms of answers to that? There's a commit.
Yeah, I think commit is the best answer.
Can we Gear Hulk back a commit from the graveyard, or is it too expensive?
We would be able to if you recall, graveyards were exiled earlier. So commit no longer in a graveyard.
The commit's gone.
Yeah, so the graveyard does not currently have that. Oh wow, is that the third Mentor? Wow. That is these kind of games are so much fun to play, but also like slightly difficult.
It's crazy on the board.
Yeah, it's so much. We've run out of room for tokens, but we know there's a lot. Okay, Mechanic returning Bugler. Playing Bugler, getting some more tokens. I feel like at this point Morgan doesn't even need to wait to have like 2 attack steps. I feel like he can just have like one big one. You know, just make like 40 guys and just get on in there.
Wow.
That's what I'm thinking.
He is you can only have one of that monument out at once, right? It's legendary.
Yeah, it is legendary.
Otherwise this would be totally crazy.
That card would be absurd if it could be doubled, yeah. I mean, it was always like a tension too in that draft format because you would draft as many as you could get. You'd even play them in non-white decks, like it didn't matter, because your discount's only for white. But in limited, you're just like, well, sure, I'll play green, red, and I'll play this monument and make a bunch of 1/1s. But it was always tough when you were drafting. Like, do I draft the second one? Like, do I draft the third one? Like, they are legendary. My general rule was I would play 2. I would not play 3 though. That's too much. Okay, so soldiers are available.
All the lands in the world, but nothing to reanimate.
Yeah, that's definitely, you see the power level of Scavenger Grounds, and we also see the fact that Morgan has not just 1, but actually 3 deserts too.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, so we're gonna see Teferi finally do something other than draw a card, which is place Ixalan's Binding into Morgan's deck, which is going to return the Scarab God. The negative to this, though, is that the Scarab God doesn't actually have anything to do. Mostly just hang out there and sort of, you know, scare Morgan away from attacking, I guess.
Yeah.
Because with the Scarab God taking at least even a momentary vacation, that would have maybe opened the door for some attacks. But now that the Scarab God's back, it's like, can you really attack with all these guys and just give them to Morgan?
It can start draining, though, away at Morgan. He's got 4 zombies now.
That is the 4th zombie, yeah.
Yeah, so he's at the point where he's going to start draining Morgan for 4 a turn. Plus he's got the attacks.
Plus he's got Cloudblazer.
Cloudblazer. So actually there's a bit of a clock going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, Morgan's going to pretty much, I would say,
We've lost Morgan's life total there, just off the...
Yeah, I would say that really in this situation...
13.
Morgan pretty much has to, like, untap and see if he can set up a board state this turn that's going to allow him next turn to use both of his Sheffet Dunes to give his creatures +2/+2 total and attack for like some kind of absurdly high amount.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That being said, I may or may not see something in Ryan's hand. That's gonna make that tough. But let's just do the play a wait and see on that.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Let's see how the players choose to do this, and we're gonna return to that later. But if I'm Morgan, what I'm thinking is, okay, I've got a ton of land, I got a ton of creatures. I do have 2 copies of Sheffet Dunes, which I can sacrifice a desert to get +1/+1. Ooh, he's doing okay.
We're
cool.
duning.
We're duning now. I don't know. I feel like I might have waited 1 more turn, but maybe it's time. Maybe it's just time.
It's time. I mean, if this attack looks pretty good.
It does. It does look pretty good.
Sod of a lot of bodies on the board.
Yes. So all the tokens are 3/3s, and everybody else is a little bigger than that. Everyone's attacking.
Everything's coming.
Settle the wreckage.
Settle the wreckage. Do we have a negate?
Do we have a negate?
Oh, we have a negate! Oh my goodness! Do we have another counterspell back?
Oh, okay.
Oh, Gear
All right, can we tap some mana so we know what's up? Okay, so
Settle the Wreckage would have killed all those attackers.
So we have Settle the Wreckage.
Then
so we have Settle the Wreckage.
Yep.
Then we have Negate on the Settle the Wreckage, and then now we
Gear
have
Hulk is flashing back.
Gear Hulk flashing back a
some kind of counter spell on the Negate.
Okay.
Okay, so that has countered the.
All right, so it was a disallow. That's what it was.
It was a disallow. Wow, after that monster game 2, that would have taken us to time in any kind of tournament setting, so we're going to call it a draw at that point. What an incredible finish.
Wow, that was pretty awesome. I mean, it was cool that Morgan found the negate, but just wasn't good enough.
From the mulligan to 5 to the scraping it back versus the Scarab God, and then, you know, at the end we got the play, counter back, and just not quite enough for Morgan to punch through, but that was
just short.
That was really close. That was an exciting game. Cool. I loved it.
I thought it was amazing, and yeah, if there were a judge involved, they probably would have called time, and unfortunately we're going to have to do the same.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Ryan brings it to a draw there. Join us next time on Monday night for Magic the Gathering on Nights at the Game Table.